Welcome to the Catalyst Life Coaching Podcast with John Kim and Noelle Cordeaux. If you're inspired to begin your own life coaching practice or just want to learn a little bit more about what it's all about, visit JRNI.co. That's JRNI.co for more information. Your adventure awaits.
Hey guys, on today's episode, we're going to talk about the outcomes of a modern day gratitude practice. Noelle, you're actually all about gratitude.
Yes, I am. It's one of my favorite ways to practice applied positive psychology and use mindful living as an everyday part of my life.
Yes, in our team meetings every Friday, Noelle has us going around saying one thing that we're grateful for, which I think is a great exercise. Gratitude's been tough for me because I think I've been wired since just growing up in a very kind of stressful family to, it's hard for me to see the glasses half full. I mean, it's easier now, at 45, much more than ever before. But how do you start to rewire yourself that way, where you have to truly be grateful?
So first of all, thank you for your vulnerability and sharing. And let's pull the wool back a little bit and talk about what actually is going on in your brain and your body, given that scenario, and how you can use a simple practice to change your brain chemistry around this area. So you mentioned growing up in a stressful family.
Yes.
Give us a little, what were some hallmarks of that? What was it like?
There was never any conversations about the world's going to be okay. There was just a lot of fight or flight. How are we going to survive? Pay the bills, get out of our debt. And then there wasn't a lot of gratitude. There wasn't a lot of today's a beautiful day. Can we sit and really experience this meal? There wasn't a lot of in the moment type of moments.
Okay, so what you just described is classic stress response, right? That's living in your nervous system with your fight or flight omnipresent. And so your systems are all wired with a strong sense of negativity bias to be aware of danger. And that's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Exhausting.
I think that's why I found chasing flow states. That was kind of my escape, going outside and playing with my friends all day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So going outside and playing with your friends and chasing flow states. So something that counters the active nervous system, the fight or flight response that floods your body with cortisol, is your endocrine system. And your endocrine system gets fired up when you induce positive emotions. And it doesn't fire in the same way as your nervous system. Your nervous system is really fast acting, and those negative emotions are like slingshots, and then they with little firecrackers on the end. So the emotion fires really fast and rapidly, and then it explodes. The good news is that negative emotions don't last that long. But positive emotions are subtle, and they're kind of like a slow pulsing when you induce them. And so it's just like eating fruits and vegetables. The more positive emotions you induce, the more pulsing of those feel-good hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, you'll flood your body with. And so a gratitude practice, however subtle, however slight, isn't going to give you the big hits that you get from negative emotions.
Right.
But over time, you'll build up these reserves of feel-good hormones that will lend a shield of resiliency to your brain. And so when a negative emotion hits, it'll have less of an impact.
Oh, so it's kind of like practicing gratitude to create kind of layers, almost like prevention from the negative.
Yes, it's really very much like your immune system. That if you take vitamin C and eat lots of fruits and vegetables and stay hydrated and get enough sleep, when you come near a cold germ, your body is less likely to take it on and really succumb to sickness. But if you don't eat healthy foods and you're lacking sleep and you're really stressed out and you're not practicing self-care, when a cold hits, you will get taken out at the knees,
Right.
just like I have last week.
Yeah. So a lot of people talk about, I mean, gratitude has become a really big word, a buzzword in wellness. There are restaurants named after gratitude. How do you, and I think a lot of people, uh, they throw the word around, but they don't actually practice it. How do you actually practice it? How do you thread it into your life so it's sustainable?
So it's interesting. The term mindfulness has an equally weighty catchphrase to it now.
Yes.
People
Yep.
talk a lot about mindfulness, but when we break it down, what we're really talking about is awareness and taking time to notice things and following that through with a space for reflection.
Mm.
So taking time to notice and then reflect upon things that we're grateful for. So the way that positive emotions work and the way that positive emotions work to build resiliency in your brain is you're not discounting the negative, you're not ignoring it, you're not pretending that it doesn't exist, but you are also taking stock of the positive and holding that up alongside of the negative so that you have a measured, equal, realistic view that life isn't 100% bad.
Yeah.
Because it never is.
Yeah. And I think I have a pattern of disqualifying the positive.
It's hard to keep the positive in your mind
Hmm.
because those positive emotions are subtler than the negative emotions. And we know from negativity bias that negativity bias is the evolutionary trait that engenders fight or flight, that our brain is naturally attuned towards the negative. So you're fighting an evolutionary pattern and you're fighting the fact that positive emotions are a lot more subtle than negative emotions. But the good news is that when we're dealing with positive emotions and things like gratitude, it's really plentiful.
Mm. What about
And
what
there's
about the other layer that society creates, especially in a capitalism where it's really hard to not want more, and then when you get to the island, you just want to go to a bigger island and want bigger and better. It's hard to be grateful in that kind of world, no?
I read a quote this week that really stuck with me that time and money are the two biggest prisons that we impose on ourselves.
Mm. Yeah, I agree absolutely.
100%. So gratitude doesn't have to be sweeping. It doesn't have to be about the promotion, the job, the house, the car, the achievement. Achievement is a construct all its own, right?
Right.
Gratitude can be about a piece of pie.
Yeah.
Gratitude can be about how cute my dog is.
Right.
Gratitude can be about a particularly beautiful sunset.
Yeah,
And
I love that because those are things that we already have, and so training your brain to appreciate what you have instead of things that you're chasing.
100%. And doing it with consistency is very similar to eating your vegetables.
Mm.
It gives you the mental nutrients that you need in order to restore your endocrine system to really high level functioning so that you take less stressful hits as you go on through the constraints of modern life. And it has other outcomes. When you practice gratitude on a regular basis, you experience more positive emotions. So, did you know that when you induce positive emotions, your eyes actually function differently? Your pupils expand, your eyes open wider, and you're able to take in more color and detail around you.
That's what happens when you take mushrooms.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And you also feel more alive, you sleep better, you're better able to express compassion and kindness, and it does impact your immune system in a positive way.
Yeah, I mean the one big thing that I've learned in the last decade is I used to be very heady. I mean, I still am, but dropping down to your body. So using your senses to anchor yourself and as a doorway into mindfulness, and then I think mindfulness can create a bridge to truly feeling gratitude.
Exactly, exactly. So there are some practical techniques that you can use to achieve this.
Hmm.
Journaling is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
A daily gratitude practice where you actually take space to notice positive things and then reflect on them.
So when you say journaling, because I think a lot of people do this, but what they do is just create a list, and I think that's less helpful, right? When you say journaling, like actually write about the things that you're grateful for, not just create a list.
Actually write about the things that you're grateful for and get really specific with it.
Mm,
So it would be repetitive to say I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my partner,
yeah,
but to say I'm grateful that my little sister called me and had cat videos on cue to cheer me up. Or
right.
I'm grateful that my partner took time to prepare a meal so that I didn't have to when I had a really hectic day, and how that made you feel, and use that narrative flow state as a time for the reflection,
Why is it more helpful when, the more specific we get?
because you drill down on the micro moments of connection versus giving a blanket statement that is doesn't really have the same neurological impact.
Mm. So for you, do you just remind yourself as you're going about your day to practice this, or
It's
is
a
it something that just knee jerk?
it's something that I use as an applied positive intervention to bust me out of a bad mood,
Mm-hmm.
or using coaching methodology. Coaching methodology is all about moving individuals and groups from one state to another. So you have been the recipient of gratitude bombs from me
Mm-hmm.
in the past. And that's something that I do organizationally, that if I'm having a really hard day or I'm feeling really spiritually or emotionally broken, I sit down and write an email to every single person that we work with and explain to them why I value them.
And tell me, I mean, I believe I know, but tell me what that does to your brain and how that changes your state.
Well, it puts the limbic system, I'm in my emotional brain at that point, and it's impossible to experience a negative emotion and a positive emotion at the same time. So number one, I'm making it an impossibility to experience a negative emotion while I'm writing and in that flow state. And number two, it gets that endocrine system pumping, and it gets all those feel good hormones moving and coursing through my body, so that by the time I'm done writing 4 or 5 gratitude bombs, I feel freaking great.
Mm. I love that idea. And if you're listening, maybe that can be something you start with, this idea of gratitude bombs. So pick four people. Would you say four people, Noelle? And I also love the idea of using email, because you could do it from your phone. You could do it anywhere. You don't have to actually, call someone or meet them in person.
100% letter writing to thank people who have helped you in your life, who have changed your life, or who you just simply appreciate in your everyday life is a fantastic way to practice gratitude.
Also, if you're doing this authentically and with intention and your heart's in the right place, it's amazing how that can be contagious. Because
Oh, very much so.
we're just not used to gratitude bombs and kindness, in the world that we live in every day.
Well, what was it like for you? I mean, I've gratitude bombed the fuck out of you over the years. What's it like for you to receive them?
Well, it's a, it kind of, it makes you go strip away, all the noise, and kind of reminds you of what's important, and human connection. You know what it reminds me of is, Christmas, that holiday for some reason, and especially in LA. People, you could feel that people are nicer during that time, even if it's for a few weeks or a month. As Christmas approaches, people are opening more doors, people are smiling, there's less honks, road rage, all of that. And I think that's kind of a similar process, where once people start pulling from hearts, and whether it's a gratitude bomb or opening a door or a smile, it ignite something in other people because that's just how we're wired and how we respond to, thoughtfulness, kindness, and all of that.
It builds social bonds, it builds community, it builds a feeling of connection to others and oneness. And, the feeling that you're not alone in this world is one of the most profound gifts that we can give to each other.
Yeah, I love it. What a great reminder. And I think, especially for me, one of the challenges with this gratitude is to make it sustainable, because it's easy to practice it after you hear it on a podcast, or you come out of a life coaching or therapy session and you practice it for a few days, but to actually really thread it into your life so you start to rewire yourself. I think that's the challenge.
That is a challenge. And we know from coaching that if everyone were capable of doing things on their own and living their best life on their own, they would. And so doing things in partnership with others really helps. And that's where social contagion comes in, and the theory of capitalization, where sharing good things and sharing good news with others has a longer lasting outcome. So I would say maybe try for a gratitude partnership or an accountability buddy, or someone that you make a commitment to share gratitude with and express it, written or verbally, on a regular basis.
Yeah, and if you are a man listening to this, I challenge you to drop a gratitude bomb to another man. I think because of toxic masculinity and stereotypes and all of this, we rarely do stuff like that to our brothers and friends, and so that would be an awesome challenge too.
Awesome. And I challenge everybody to reach out intergenerationally, and gratitude bomb somebody of a different generation, because that is too important for building social bonds.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for the reminder, Noelle, and the science behind gratitude. If you're listening to this, practice gratitude today and drop some bombs.
Awesome.
All right, be well.
Be well.